I'm really kind of upset. I just did part 5 of this video series, excuse me, answering questions for Oz about nasal snuff, because he's a beginner. And I got almost to the end again, 95% uploaded and processed, and it just hung and hung and hung and hung. So I'm going to try to redo it, get back to my man Oz questions here.
I have a lady friend at Wang. I found energy snuff. What are your thoughts on this?
I found energy snuff. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, energy snuff comes in a couple of different flavors. First of all, I want to make something very clear. If you see Red Bull snuff on any of the snuff retailing sites, it has nothing to do with the energy drink invented by the Korean guy. It is Chief Red Bull snuff, an Indian chief. And it is not an energy snuff, it's a medicated, and a very strong one at that. Energy snuffs will contain one of a couple of things. They'll contain guarana, as in some of the Wilson's ones. They will contain caffeine, some of them. Some of them are just little more than powdered caffeine with a flavoring added to it. You know, caffeine and grape sugar and a flavor. They're typically non-tobacco. Delakia's herbal snuff, some people report, give them a great deal of energy. I wouldn't swear by that. I don't know. For me, I get enough caffeine in my coffee, and I don't think guarana does anything for me personally, but some people swear by it. So that's what I'll say about the energy snuffs.
Wang, how can I tell if my snuff goes bad?
How can I tell if my snuff goes bad?
How long does snuff last?
How long does snuff last?
I don't have a cool, dank basement like Uncle Squinty.
I don't have a cool, dank basement like Uncle Squinty.
So what are some of the best ways to store my snuff?
Okay, so what are some of the best ways to store my snuff?
Have you ever thought about mixing snuffs?
And have I ever thought about mixing snuffs? All right, let's talk about the storage and spoilage thing first. Most snuffs, through the way they are made and packaged, if they're a commercial snuff, they are packaged so cleanly and even pasteurized in some cases that the shelf life of the snuff is very long. Wilson's of Shero says essentially 2 years after the tape has been peeled off the can, or 6 months if it has been opened. And my experience is I have Wilson's of Shero snuffs that are now going on 6 years old that are still quite fine, and I never refrigerated them or anything. Other snuffs, however, particularly the Artisan snuffs, they come by a different process, and usually are not pasteurized in any way. And if they are handled with your bare fingers, and you've got some mold, spores, or something funky on your fingertips, you inoculate your snuff, that mold or that fungus will grow. Particularly wet snuffs can develop mold and fungus, although nicotine seems to retard that just a little bit. So if the snuff smells way off, and you can tell, if it's a snuff you're familiar with, obviously you'll know right away if something's wrong. But if it's a new snuff, take a good look at it. If it's got little white flecks in it, that's just aluminum that has gone off the can. Not particularly good for you, but it's not going to really harm you. But if you see little green spots, little green blobs, if something smells off, throw it away. You don't want to ingest fungus up your nose. Artisan snuffs are a little more likely to spoil than our factory snuffs. But aside from Mr. Rosinski in Germany, I think the artisan scene is more or less, I'm not going to say dead. I'm sure that there are other guys that have tricks up their sleeve, including OSP. I'm going to find that out tonight. But in the case of the artisan snuffs, just be careful not to handle them with your bare fingers. Handle them with a clean snuff spoon, and that will prevent that. Storage: heat, circulating air, moisture, and light are all the enemies of your snuff. Refrigerate them when you can, but be sure to let them sit at room temperature for a half hour or so before opening them to prevent unnecessary condensation on your snuff. Remember, you don't want moisture in that tin. It's supposed to stay nice and powdery, so keep it cool, keep it dry, keep it away from light, and keep it away from circulating air, and you should be okay. For tap boxes and things like that, Tupperware containers, I had one sitting right here. There's the lid for it. It's not, this isn't Tupperware, this is another brand. But you could put your tap boxes, for instance, in something like this or in Ziploc bags. Refrigeration is a good idea. I actually only now am refrigerating my Swedish snus and my Artisan snuffs. Everything else just stays in a cool, dry place. The dank basement never goes much above 68 degrees, and it's 50% humidity maybe. So I keep them sealed and keep them dark, and they're fine. Have I ever considered mixing snuff? Oh, surely you jest. That would be sacrilege and so much fun you can't believe it. Try this. Try a lemon-scented snuff mixed with a mint-scented snuff, or a lemon with a eucalyptus. You get a Hall's cough drop. Try mixing Delakia Swiss chocolate with Toke peanut butter and make yourself a Reese's peanut butter cup. Of course you can mix snuff. That's part of the fun. Are you kidding me? Play with your snuff. Run through your snuff barefoot. Sniff it. Rub it on your inside of your nostrils. Try to use bad snuff for ant poison. It's all fun with snuff, man. Play with your snuff. It's perfectly okay. From the dank basement, let's see if this one uploads. I'm Paul, your Uncle Squinty. This is part 5 of my series on snuff taking tips for beginners and answering the newbie questions from my new snuff taking friend.